Welcome in to the Point to Post podcast with your co-hosts Toby Miller and Eric Sweet. We're excited to bring to you today our pilot episode where we are going to each bring up and talk about a play where the point guard became the post player and then the post player became the point guard. This pod is just a deep dive into all things basketball. We got two high school head coaches who were raised by high school head coaches, and we're just on here to give you some insight to our lives and our experiences in the game of basketball.
Yeah, like you said, Toby, we've been born and raised in the game of basketball, grew up in it, sat in households that had our dads were head coaches. We're now head coaches ourselves at two local high schools here in small town Ohio. And I'm excited to share some ins and outs, nothing crazy hard, but pretty simple things. But just get basketball out there and talk about it. It's two things that we enjoy doing, we love doing. And so we want to be able to share our thoughts and our experiences with everybody out there that's listening to us. And we thank them for doing that.
Absolutely. So, Sweet, why don't you kick us off with your first play? And we're going point to post first, and we'll talk about it in real time. This is my first time seeing this, too. So, the audience and I will be experiencing this for the first time. So, go ahead and share your screen and fire it up for us.
So in this point to post, this comes from my high school days. As you said at the start of this, Toby, my dad was my high school basketball coach, and so I was able to experience things through him as the coach. And my senior year, we had a really successful year. We ended up going 22-2 my senior year, and during that time, we had a point guard that was really strong and athletic. And we were big. We were 6'6, 6'5, 6'4. And so we always had a mismatch going into it. And I think a lot of things when it comes point to post is you got to kind of have bigs that can draw other people and be able to shoot the basketball. Would you agree with that to start off with?
Yeah, I would agree entirely with that. And like you said, I think playing on the post, especially at the high school level, doesn't necessarily have everything to do with height. It has everything to do with strength. And I think a lot of that has to do with skill set. I'll talk about that a little bit when I get to mine, but I'm excited to see this film. I already see the Ottawa Glandorf versus Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's at the bottom. So Clash of the Titans, no pun intended, right?
Yeah, this play isn't perfect, I guess I would say here when you watch it from this end. It's a very simple play. It's a 1-4 high across, throw the ball to the wing. We UCLA screen for our point guard here, number 14. Todd Shoemaker was his name. He simply would go down in, turn, pivot, and we dump the ball into him. Now, we would try to do some different things that throughout the course of the year where maybe a dribble handoff or we'd pass and ball screen or ghost it to get some action going on the wing so that Todd just wasn't strictly there. But when you watch this clip against St. V, it's one of the clips where we just simply kind of like, oh crap, let's get the ball to Todd Shoemaker as quickly as possible because we're getting pushed on the wing. Not great audio video right here. I'm going to clean that up. We were supposed to entry to the elbow. We did not. He just catches it, low block, turns and scores. Like I said, it was supposed to be more of a throw the ball to the wing type deal where he would get the UCLA screen. Where in that video you saw, it was we were getting denied because they knew the play was happening. The wing guy popped open, we dumped it in, and Todd just was simply and strong. And the best thing about the point for I had when I had him there was he caught it, he one dribbled, he turned, and he elevated and shot over top of people. There was no fancy post moves by the young man, but he was able to get in there, and we ran this play often. Like I said, we did it some different ways, but at that clip that you saw, it was kind of the oh crap, they're pressuring us. We got to get the ball into the post as quickly as possible. So simple, throw the ball to the wing, UCLA, and just get the ball to the kid in the post. The post, tough, one dribble, up and scored.
I love it. I love it. And Sweet, what was the outcome of that game, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't turn out in our favor. We were down one at halftime. We played Todd that game. Played very, very well. We had one loss going in that game, but we ended up losing by, I believe it was 19 overall. And the crazy thing is, the movie More Than a Game that LeBron came out with, 10 years ago, whatever it was about his junior year. And that was the year we played him up there at Savage Hall, sold out crowd. We remember when the Sports Illustrated cover came out with him on it, holding the basketball. That was the year we played them. And people had us pegged to play them back in November before the season started, which was incredibly crazy and wild. And that's a whole nother talk later on in a different episode about how that went, because we had to deal with that talk all year long. And I have an article from November that says, the matchup is going to happen in late February or late March. And it was just like unreal to think about. But we ended up losing the game, but we played well and tried to compete and get after them.
That's awesome. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to follow that one up. It's got a nice backstory to it. Mine's like a little bit lighter, so let me see if I can. So first, I'm gonna show you this diagram. So, um, the story behind this one is I was playing freshman basketball my freshman year, and I only ended up playing one game of freshman basketball before they quickly moved me up to JV for whatever reason. I had them fooled, 5 foot, 90-pound point guard. Got to get him on the JV floor. But I was 5 feet tall and 90 pounds. And my freshman head coach at the time was Chris Hilton was his name. And he is now the sheriff of Sandusky County. Shout out Sheriff Hilton. He said I was the best post player trapped in a point guard's body he ever had. So ironically enough, we had a play in where me at my small size was going to post up. So we got into like this horn set and we put our bigs down in the corner. I would enter the ball to the elbow, as you can see in that first frame. And then all I would do is I would set an inverted flex screen right here, and then I would duck in and I would catch the ball with nobody on that side of the floor. And I did the same exact move every single time. I would take 2 dribbles with my left shoulder into their chest and start creating a bunch of contact, not moving anybody anywhere. And then I would immediately shot fake and step through and finish with my left hand. And I kid you not, Coach Sweet, I scored on that play probably 95% of the time with the same move every single time. And Coach Hilton loved it. I believe we called that High Miller was the name of that play. But we only got to run it one game, and then it was up to JV, and they weren't posting me up as much on JV. I was out of position, was playing point guard, not my natural position of the stretch 5 that Sheriff Hilton had me at.
I find it absolutely hilarious that both of our plays end with our point guards making the same exact move over and over again. Like I said, Shuey at the time was simple, man. He caught the ball in the block, he powered, dribbled, turned, and he raised up and shot over top of people every single time. It was kind of a little fadeaway, but that's all he ever did, and he made it a high clip too. You can tell that you guys weren't spending spending a lot of time on post work and what moves were down there. When we did big littles back in the day, I don't think you point guards were down there working on your up and unders and your pivot work, but we always wanted to post you up for some reason. So that's hilarious. I think that both point guards just had the one move, and that's all it needed to score on it. That's all standing.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. But I know you've been excited about this. I want to see the post to point play that you got for us.
So, as the postman of this podcast, the 5 man who always got shoved into the paint and got yelled at by the point guards. I've had some great point guards in my career that every time I step out and look to shoot the basketball a little bit, they would just tell me to get back in there and post up, which I did okay at and was able to succeed. But I think when I went to college and played, I ended up just 3 for 10 for my career. There's a video when I made a 3 in high school. They didn't come out and guard me, and you can see my brother in the background stand up and put his arms up in the air it was such a big deal that the post player stepped out and hit a 3. So this post to point play I got here, I'm going to share you the clip. This is from me coaching in high school here. This was 4 years ago now. I had a really talented team, had a point guard that's playing Division III basketball. With our our point guard bringing the ball up the court, we would set a single high ball screen with my 4-man trailing, and my 2 guards were in the corner ready to shoot it. And as the point guard would come off the 4-man setting the ball screen, we would just screen, roll, and replace. And my 5-man, who is a Division I or NAIA defensive tackle right down here, would roll to the top, and he's isolated up top. He has the ball, and now he's running our offense from the top. It's a simple interchange in and out. But what worked for this was this young man was able to shoot the basketball. Here's one where he shot fake, attacked, scored out of it. I mean, really simple high ball screen, roll, replace. And then the big man gets up top, and now we're looking to get into actions off of this. The new zoom action we didn't have back in the day. But as you can see, my wing guard was looking come off for a handoff. But ultimately, the big man just kind of catches and attacks there off of it. Here's another game, same action, very simple. Actually, your polar bear's here. Um, Here he is where he catches it and actually gets the down screen. This is every post guy's dream, Toby. Watch this action here where he points the guy off like he knows what the play's supposed to be. This is the post guy's dream. Look at this. Pass, get out of the way. You're in the way. And then comes off and ball screens it. And so that's the ending of it that we didn't get in the previous clip there when we had it. But he's supposed to reverse it and then hand it back off to the point guard. But that's the dream of a post player right there, man. Tell the guy to get out of the way and be able to do it. Here it is one more time. High ball screen, roll, replace. I think this is where he hits a three. Good shot fake there. Drives, attacks, and one there. So very simple play, simple roll, replace. I had two post guys that I could do this with and play off of. It helps when they're able to step out and shoot the basketball. And there's a couple of games he got hot and hit a couple of threes for me too.
One thing, and I think we're okay to say the names of the players. That was obviously one of the Dowling brothers there, running the roll replace for you. And like you said, I think the whole key to that is having a big that's able to stretch the floor. And what I've been trying to tell a lot of our kids at the high school level and the AU level is you don't have to shoot it to make it. You have to shoot it well enough that they close out so you can attack a closeout. You have to shoot it so they respect it.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, his ability to make enough of those that he gets into closeout situations, he's then able to attack the rim because he's an NAIA caliber athlete. And those guys, for as big as they were freakishly nimble.
Oh,
So,
great footwork to him. But the biggest thing is, and I don't know if you saw it in the three clips I had, like every time he would replace, he caught it looking and body ready to shoot. It wasn't a catch and look to I guess the one clip against Margaretta, he was looking to reverse it right away. And that was the ending action out of that play. But he had the ball at the top of the key and he was allowed to dictate the offense from there. And it was a very simple roll and replace. But Gage Bruff, who my foreman was tall and long. And if you didn't respect his role, it was an easy layup for us. And so we just had simple actions. And when you're able to have good players with good talent, simple actions are not hard to run. And they ran it really well that year, and we ran it often. And a couple of times our point guard would get a score off of it. Other times we'd get that handoff to our wing player. But there was multiple games where the Dolphins, they were able to catch that ball up top, score, or drive as they saw that in the video there, which was outstanding. Made me look really smart. And I love when I look smart.
isn't that something? Good players make smart coaches, right?
Yeah, run the same play for 10 years, and I get players that can make shots. And like, what'd you change? I'm like, I got guys that made shots. I mean, plays are plays. They don't mean anything if you don't make shots. I got great friends that have great plays. They draw them up and they said the kid had a layup coach or buddy, and he missed it. What more guy? You can't do anything. Like players have to make plays. And I try to empower players in that standpoint. And I tell them all the time, shoot the basketball. And if you're mad about shooting it, I guess pass it up and go set a good screen for somebody else to shoot it. Because you got to make shots and the ball has to go through the hoop. It's a simple game.
Very simple game. Very simple. So I'm going to share mine with you, Sweet. So this one is from my first year coaching at Huron High School. I don't think we got to run it against you because if you don't know Sweet, he changes defenses every single possession.
Hey, I
I
had
think
to
he
keep you on
ran.
your toes, man. I can't just run man all game. It gets boring. I got to throw some zone in. And if we'll talk about this maybe later at a different podcast, but I'll throw all the junk at you. So, all right, here we go.
Absolutely.
Let's see this, Toby.
So, those of you that are familiar with our Huron basketball team, we ran a lot of high middle third ball screens. We had a really nice post player named Jackson McNulty, and Jackson possessed some ability to handle the ball in the perimeter for us. So this was a set that we ran out of our middle third ball screen action, where Jackson would kind of, as you saw in the video, jog down like he's going to set the drag, act like he's going to set the ball screen, and then he would reverse pivot. So we hit Jackson. And then what we essentially do is get into a flat ball screen. Our point guard cuts down to the block. Okay, so he just entered it to the elbow. Our point guard cuts down to the block and is going to come back up and set a flat ball screen on Jackson's guy. And while that's happening, the man that was in the corner is coming off a stagger on the backside. So what that does is it inverts the ball screen. Most guards are not used to having to get into position to hedge a ball screen. Usually they're the one getting through the hedge. And most bigs are not used to have to fighting under ball screens. So we would invert that, and Jackson's ability to drive the ball allowed him to get to the rim or get us open opportunities in the lane. So as you can see this again, Sweet, a lot of people run this where they throw it in 1-4 high. They throw it to the wing, the
Yep,
UCLA cut, and the point guard goes off the stagger, and then it's the ball screen on the wing. We simply inverted that.
that's
It also
outstanding.
helped. It also helps when the guy running off the stagger Sweet is Charlie Hardy, who almost broke our school record in 3-pointers. So everyone's worried about that going on the backside. Um, we also then started to see people scouting this and getting more used to it. So in this next clip, Sweet, we set the flat inverted ball screen here with a young man who was a very good 3-point shooter for us, freshman Grant Perriott. And what happened was they both went to Jackson on this play. And when you set a ball screen flat, it's very easy to flip around and pop that and get your shoulders on the rim. So in this clip, we're running the same thing, this inverted ball screen. Charlie goes off the stagger. We invert, and you can see both guys go to Jackson. Again, the guard and the big are not used to playing opposite roles in defending pick and roll. So they suck in on Jackson. Grant is wide open for a three right there. Very easy look, shoulders on the rim. It was a big shot for us in the second quarter against St. Paul. So that is my post turning into point, Sweet.
The post turning into a point is the absolute delight of me watching basketball. I mean, we can just go down the list of names, in the NBA now where everything's a 5 out running through the post player. And don't get me wrong, Shaq in the day was big, athletic, and he probably could do a lot of things these guys are doing now too. But post back, growing up, it was you're a post player. Put yourself down the block and work on your post moves. These kids now are coming out and they're handling the ball, they're sharing the ball, they know how to read stuff. Like I think us coaches are getting smarter how to give these kids opportunities too. But you gotta be able to handle the basketball and make the right decision. And that was always the biggest concern, probably for our dads back in the early '90s, is letting your post player come out and handle the ball because they were afraid that the turnover was going to happen because they weren't used to doing it. But this has become a part of the game as these posts are becoming point guards.
Absolutely. Here's the only other thing that I want to complain about really quick, Sweet, though. But in the 90s, post players could catch. There was nothing more infuriating as a point guard when you are getting pressed the entire game. You beat your guy, you get into your lane, the big guy's wide open, you drop it off to him, it hits him in his hands and goes out of bounds, and then he wants to bring the ball up the next time down. No, catch it and lay it in. You got one job, catch it and lay it in. The 90s posts were sealing that help side guy dropping down, catching and finishing that thing. Post players nowadays don't want to seal anybody. They just want to get out to the perimeter.
I
But
got
I agree.
I had like nightmares right there of some of my point guards back in the day screaming at me when I wouldn't catch the ball on open gym. Um, from throwing the ball like that, like just catch the ball and finish, just tweet. And I'm like, I'm trying to, but I guess I'm just a dumb post who can't catch the ball very well. I had flashbacks right there, Tobes. They just creepy memories of me playing a bunch of basketball with a bunch of great friends of mine that were point guards that threw me the great passes, but I guess I wasn't ready or my hands were too stoned at the time to catch all the time cleanly. But yeah, I remember doing that too, dropping the ball the next time trying to get it to bring it up. And it's like, just get yourself back to the post. I'm like, all right, I got you guys.
Well, Sweet, I think you turned out all right. Stone hands and all, you turned out to be an okay guy. But Sweet, you want to get us out of here?
Yeah, hey, we want to thank everybody for listening and watching the Point to Post podcast. Our motto here is that every post player wants to be a point guard, and every coach wants their point to go post up and score. So we're here just to invigorate the crowd and get our post guys some love to the point, and our points some love to the post. So thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time, episode 2.